Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the Government Center here in downtown Winston-Salem. So glad you can join us. We have a lot going on in this half hour, a lot of great guests, important information coming your way to let you know about, including a discussion about those pesky property tax deadlines. That and a whole lot more coming your way. Where we want to start, though, was an income support service that's very important to a lot of folks, and we're going to do this with an expert in the field. With me right now is Amanda Pruit. She's Income Support Program Manager with the Economic Services Division of the Forsyth County Department of Social Services, and we appreciate you taking time to be here.
Absolutely.
What is now you emailed me something, and I'm going to read this back to make sure I've got it. The Low Income Energy Assistance Program. What is that?
It's also known as LEAP or LIEAP, and it is a program that runs during the winter months annually, and it's just a one-time credit that is sent directly to heating source providers to help offset the rising cost of utilities during the coldest months.
So now, all right, help me understand. So if I'm having trouble, I've been laid off or through the pandemic or whatever, and I'm kind of struggling, I need to have heat in my house. The credit or whatever is not going to come to me directly. It's going to go to whoever is the supplier of my heating source. Is that right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So let's take 2021. About how many county households received assistance under this program?
We served over 5,300 households last winter.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a cap or a limit to the amount of assistance that households can receive? I mean, because heating is something that you said during the winter, you've got to have it. So, I mean, is there a cutoff point or what?
Yes, so it's a one-time payment, and it ranges anywhere from $300, $400, or $500, and it's based on the household's income and the household size.
So now, would I have to personally apply and say, come to you or come to the office, hey, Ms. Pruit, I've got some trouble here. Can you get me some help? Do I fill out a form? I mean, how does that happen?
Yes, there's an application process. You could come to the Department of Social Services to complete that, or you could apply online at epass.nc.gov, or you could call our call center at 703-3800 and speak to one of our call center agents about LEAP or LIEAP.
All right, I'm going to write this down again. 703-3800
yes.
is the call. Now, we're taping this, just as a disclaimer, we are taping this on January the, 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Is the program still available? Is it too late to apply? I mean, I know we've had a winter storm already. Help me with that.
So our program runs annually December 1st through March 31st, as long as funds are available.
Okay.
And it opens up there's a specified household situation for the month of December for households that have members age 60 or older or that are disabled and receiving a service through the Division of Aging Adult Services. But in January, it opens up to any household to apply.
So any household can apply in January. So right now we don't know exactly when this is airing. We air on Cable 2, we air on, I think, ABC 45 and some other stations. So not knowing exactly when this is going to air, but we are taping on January 19th. There's plenty of time for people to try to apply.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, all right. Is it difficult? Is it one of these things that is it complicated to apply for this?
No, it's a 3-page application, and it asks for you to list the name of individuals in your household, your address, your income for anyone in the household, as well as your primary heating source vendor, so that company name, and your account number for that company.
All right, one thing before we run out of time, Amanda, if let's say that I got assistance, I received assistance through your office and applied last January 2021. Now we're in 2022. Since I received assistance last year, can I apply for more assistance or can I not?
Yes, you can. It runs through our fiscal year, so July to June. And so that winter season, so even if you applied in January of 2021, then you can apply again January 2022.
All right. In just a few seconds we have remaining, I'm going to get you to repeat the phone number and the website in case people want to take this down. So tell me again how people can apply. If they want to apply online or if they want to call, tell me again what that is.
Sure. You can apply online at epass.nc.gov. Or you can call our call center at 336-703-3800.
Amanda, I thank you so much for doing this. What you're doing is very important. It helps a lot of people, and I know they appreciate you being on the job and helping with them. So keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
Back now at Forsyth County Connections. Thanks for staying with us. We have a very special guest who's new to the county, not new to what he does, though. We're with James Bentley. He's the Forsyth County Forest Ranger as of just recently. Welcome to the county and welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you.
What's the mission overall of the State Forestry Service and your primary duties?
The State Forest Service is mandated by the legislature to work in conjunction with the county, our county partners, in order to protect and promote the forest resources of the state. We do that through wildfire control, insect and disease detection, and also by assisting landowners with sound forest management plans so that we can continue to provide ample supply of timber and trees and also wildlife habitat and many other things for the state.
Well, you know, one of the reasons we wanted to get you on here on the show is because I think at the time somebody put the call into you and said, hey, would you come on? We had just come off of all those fires.
Mm-hmm.
Sourtown Mountain, Pilot Mountain, what I think there was one in Grandfather at the same.
Yep.
Yeah. Just horrible. And we don't know whether it was somebody deliberately or accident. Either way, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just terrible destruction. What's your role and the county's role in dealing with dangerous wildfires like that?
When there's a wildfire in the county, the North Carolina Forest Service, we assume control and command of the county. It's usually in a dual command with our county partners, the Fire Marshal's Office, Emergency Management, the local fire department. We work with them, but we have access to all types of resources that they might not have access to, from statewide resources. We can even access nationwide resources.
Really?
Yep. And so
you can get help from the federal government to bring stuff down to try to put it out.
We can bring in incident management teams from the federal government. When I was my previous job, we brought hand crews from Alaska. We have access to a lot more things, and that's where we come in and we assist the counties in control of these wildfires.
You mentioned the word control. That just reminded me, I wanted to ask you about, very quickly, just define what a control burn is and how it can benefit landowners and their neighbors.
So when we talk about controlled burns, prescribed fire, that is when us as professionals in fire, we take into considerations weather and fuel loads, and we also bring in a team of skilled people in order to keep a fire controlled. Whenever we do a prescribed fire, it's for usually one of three reasons. We're either doing hazard reduction, in which we want to reduce the fuel so that the wildfire risk is lower. We might also do it for silviculture, which is to improve the health of a stand of trees by reducing competition. We might also do a control burn in order to prepare a site for reforestation to be planted to remove the heavy debris.
Yeah, now this is sort of, we're switching seasons here, but while I've got you here, you know, when you see piles of leaves up on which recently people had piles of leaves on, believe it or not, before we had the winter storm. What's a good tip you can give folks about burning anything?
The number one thing is you need to go to northcarolinaforestservice.gov and get a burning permit. That'll tell you if they won't issue it, that means there's a burn ban. It'll tell you a lot of information. You also need to check with the Forsyth County Air Quality to make sure you're following all their rules. But other than that, just making sure you have it contained, and you either have an area cleared and also a water hose and some sort of tool, a shovel, a rake, something to dig and scrape if it starts to creep around, something
that you can take care of it. Very quickly, before time runs out, what can we look for in terms of fire season in the spring coming up?
This spring, they're actually predicting it to be a fairly active fire season. Our weather is dictated by La Nina and El Nino. La Nina typically means we're going to be hot and dry. That's when we typically have our more active fire seasons. And just like anything with weather, you never know till we're in it. But right now, it's predicted to be a pretty active fire season.
James, I appreciate all you do for everybody here in the county, and thanks for being on the show. And give the website again in case somebody wants more information.
That's NorthCarolinaForestService.gov.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll be right back after this.
Performing on stage takes mental and physical preparation. But one thing I never thought to prepare for was cervical cancer. 91% of cervical cancers are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The good news is there are vaccines that can protect you or your children from cancer. I survived my cancer, but you can stop cancer before it starts. Talk to your doctor and go to thinkaboutthelink.org to learn more.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and we're just about ready to talk about tax time. Oh man, don't change the channel. I know, it's rough, but let's talk about it. And we're going to do it with an expert. With me right now is Brianna Collins. She's Senior Tax Manager for Forsyth County Tax Administration. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I understand that I hear through the grapevine that the end of each year, end of each calendar year, and the beginning of each calendar year are pretty busy for your office.
Yes.
Now, why are these important times for the tax office?
So the beginning of the year, that's our listing period time from January 1 to January 31st. That's when you need to list your personal property, business personal property, real estate.
Right.
And the deadline is January 31st unless extended.
And that's the same for, now you mentioned, we'll get to business in a second, but for just a person like me, if I have a car, some other little property that I want to list, I've got to do that by January 31st. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So even if I'm already on the books that I own this 2007 Chevy, I've got to relist, or do I need to, what do I do different?
You would still list. If you still own it and nothing has changed, you would simply sign your listing and return it to our office.
Okay. Now, what types of tax relief can a property owner get, or are there any kinds of tax relief?
Yes, of course there are. So we have our senior citizens disabled program. We have our disabled veterans program, and we have circuit breaker for senior citizens. All forms of tax relief that can be applied for. And the income limit for those is this year's $31,500.
$31,500. So if I'm a senior, a veteran, disabled, I can't make more than $31,500, or else I can't apply for the tax relief. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now let's talk about real estate, because a minute ago I was telling you about my old beat-up car. Now let's talk about real estate. Does a property owner need to submit a real estate listing every year?
No, not necessarily. So you would only submit your real estate listing every year in the event that you've made improvements or changes to your real property. You own vehicles or trailers or cars that have, trucks or trailers that have multi-year tags, permanent tags,
right,
or IRP plates.
But if I add a little swimming pool or a fish pond or a shed for the lawnmowers, I'm supposed to list that I've added that, right?
Correct. If none of those things apply to you, your real estate is automatically listed.
All right, now let me circle back. A couple minutes ago, you mentioned business personal property. What the heck are you talking about, the difference between personal property and business personal property?
So business personal property is any movable property that is used in a trade or business. So any assets that a business owns that they're using to operate, they are required to list that with our office every year.
Okay. Would that include people who work out of their home too? And
yes. Some don't think so, but yes. Even if
you just smiled at me. You said some don't think so. Why did you smile? Why do some don't think so?
Because they believe. We often get, property owners or business owners that believe, like, I'm running my business out of my home. I don't own a brick and mortar. I just use my at-home desk and my laptop and my cell phone.
Right.
But you still have to list those things.
Really?
As business personal property, yes.
Even if we didn't rehearse any of this, folks, but even so if I run a business out of my home and I use the laptop to do grocery lists, you still need to know if I'm using it primarily for business, I've got to list that laptop.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Now, let me also talk about you talked about deadlines on tax relief or whatever. If I'm trying to get tax relief, did you tell me before there's a certain deadline you have to apply for it by? Or?
Yes. So tax relief applications are due to our office by June 1st of every year.
Okay. Now, is there a website or a phone number, anything that people should have?
Of course. So our website is forsyth.cc, and you would just go to the tax administration department.
All right.
Our phone number, if anyone has questions or concerns, it's 336-703-2300.
Okay.
That'll send them to our call center. And if someone from there can't answer any of these questions, which most likely they will be able to,
Right.
they will transfer them to who they need to be speaking with.
Well, Brianna, I know that sometimes your job isn't popular, but it's necessary, and I sure appreciate you coming on and explaining some of these things, especially folks that might need to get some tax relief. So thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
This is what too much sounds like. This is what stress feels like. And this is what help feels like. If you've lost a job, worry about your next meal, or have trouble making it through the day, we can help. Text STRESS to 211-211 to find a solution.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections. I'm so glad you stayed with us throughout the program. Our special guest now is Scotty Woods. He's environmental specialist for the Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
What is considered, I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, I'm going to ask anyway. What is considered solid waste and who produces it?
Okay, that's a good question. Solid waste is any garbage or refuge or any other discarded material that's not liquid. And you asked the question, who produces it? Well, everyone.
We all do it.
Yes, individuals, families, businesses, institutions, everybody creates solid waste.
Now, what options are available? Because now my wife and I live in Kernersville, and every week, we'll have folks come in from the sanitation department. They'll pick up the trash cans we have on the street, and then every other week it's to recycle. But are there other options? I mean, when people want to dispose of solid waste products that they've accumulated?
Yes, the same applies as what you just stated in the city where you live in Kernersville. All the citizens are afforded curbside household pickup. If you live within a municipality, of course, that is paid for by your taxes from the city or the town.
Right.
But if you live in the unincorporated, it's a little different. The unincorporated regions, you go through a subscriber service, which is at a controlled rate. And right now it's less than $15 a month. Recyclable services are provided by that same subscriber service at an affordable rate as well.
All right. You said a subscribed rate. Are there county trucks that come out and do that? Or is it a private company, or what happens if I'm...
Private franchise companies, yes, sir.
That you approve, though, right?
Yes, the county board of commissioners also approve that, as well as our director.
This is kind of a negative question, but do you guys ever experience a lot of problems with improper disposal or dumping?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's sort of the bulk of the complaints we get. We, observe everything from illegal roadside dumping, improper storage and stockpiling on personal properties, and a major problem with vacant lots. A lot of illegal dumping on vacant properties, as well as people now who are considering to burn their solid waste. It is illegal to burn solid waste.
Yeah, and of course, earlier in the program, we had our forest ranger on trying to give us information about being careful about burning things. Of course, that follows up to what you're saying, which can really be dangerous. Let me pick at you for just a second. We didn't rehearse this, but you mentioned improper disposal or whatever on your own property. Now, why would you care what I'm doing on my property?
That's a good question. Your neighbors have a concern of what's going on your property. Say, for instance, if you're stockpiling solid waste or protrusible, material on the property that has an odor, smells, that attracts vermin, well, that's going to carry diseases and, migrate throughout the community. So
right.
We're called to sort of educate personnel that on those properties, let them know this is a problem and you need to properly contain it as well as dispose of it.
So is that then your staff that would respond if a neighbor has a problem with odor or some concern, it could be toxic or whatever? you would come out and respond and talk with the person who has the toxic material or has whatever. You would knock on their door and say who you are. And I mean, is that something your staff handles?
Yes, sir. We actually get citizen complaints a lot. And once we respond to those citizen complaints, the main thing we do is educate, first of all, on why we're there and what the problem is and how the problem can be resolved.
Right. Now, in doing that education, and I don't know how long have you been at your job? I forgot that.
22 years.
Wow. Okay. You don't look old enough to be there for
Oh,
22
man.
years. But anyway, now what happens? Do you feel like in your gut, do you have a positive feeling about the results that you get and the feedback you get from the education efforts that you do to try to bring people up to speed?
Yes. I think our staff is probably the best at it because of the fact that we take our time, we understand what the regulations and codes are, and we try to break it down as simple as possible to the people when we get on their properties to explain to them. A lot of times we do see positive results once we get the responsible person to understand why the changes are necessary to come into compliance with our county code ordinance.
Right. You're just trying to help them.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to help them.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there a phone number or website people can learn more about what they should and shouldn't do?
Yes, the website, of course, is forsyth.cc, and you can go down to the Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection.
Okay.
Our phone number to reach us is 336-703-2440.
All right. 2440.
Yes, sir.
Scotty, I appreciate all you do, and you sort of educated me today. Will you come back sometime?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
Every year, 4.5 million young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 visit the ER.
It's every parent's nightmare.
Umergency gives you all the tools you need to quickly and effectively manage your family's emergency. Umergency provides instant access to vital resources, customized to your student's campus and local community, digital consent form, and built-in urgent alert button. Umergency gives you peace of mind when you need it most. Download your Umergency app now.
Son, love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Jessica, will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Back now for our final segment of this edition of Forsyth County Connections. So glad you stayed with us thus far. We want to talk about something over the next few minutes that doesn't get a lot of attention. But we're going to talk with Matthew Hamby. He's with me now. He's a dress coordinator for MapForsyth. Let me say that again. He's not a dress coordinator. He is an address coordinator. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
What's involved in assigning addresses in Forsyth County? What does all that mean?
Well, so back in 2015, the job of assigning addresses was moved from the City of Winston Planning Department to MapForsyth.
Oh, okay.
From the city to the county. Gloria Alford and myself are the two that assign addresses for all of Forsyth County, with the exception of anything in the city limits of Kernersville.
Right.
And we maintain, create, and distribute all the addresses that are in Forsyth County.
Now, how do you assign a new address?
There's several different ways. The majority of new addresses get assigned through a plan review process that the city sets up. If a developer comes in and they own a piece of property and they want to put 50 new homes on it,
right,
or 7 new apartment complexes, whatever, they go through this plan review process where our department gets to see that plan. We'll go through and we'll contact the developer and get street names if that's needed. And then we'll go through and assign all the addresses before the development even starts.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, but in that situation, that's interesting. Would the developer or the guy building or the lady who's building the apartment complexes, would they give you a suggestion of what they would like the main drive to be named on which those apartments set, or do you just say, hey, you don't have any choice in this, it's going to be called Hamby Drive?
No, we let the property owners decide the street names, but we review the street names against all the street names in Forsyth County to ensure that no street names are duplicated and that they fall within our current policy.
Yeah, and you and I were talking off camera. If, for example, somebody wants to build 30 apartments on a new piece of land, and they say, all right, Mr. Hamby, I want to call this Jones Drive, you're going to say, no, wait a minute. We've got a Jones Court over here. We've got a Jones Circle. You're going to have to do something to that name. What would you suggest? I mean, would they add something or?
Right. We typically give them a list of other words that could be added in front of or behind Jones to make that road name unique. So like Jones Creek or Jones Forest or Jones Hill, something like that, to make that road name unique from just Jones.
All right, let's go over a hypothetical here. Well, maybe not even hypothetical because it happens. What are some reasons for why someone's address would need to be changed? I don't mean they're moving from Yadkinville to Pittsburgh,
right?
But just in general, that you're going to initiate a change in address. Why would that? How would that come about?
Okay, sometimes we get contacted by 911 and they tell us that they've had trouble finding an address. And in some situations, the address is out of order with the other addresses along that street. And so we'll research it and we'll find out if that address is indeed out of order with the other numbers along the street. And then we'll email or we'll send a letter to that property owner, letting them know they need to change their address so that it's in sequence with the other numbers. Right now, I'm sure as many people are aware, there's a Beltway project going on through Forsyth County.
Right.
And if that Beltway has gone through and cut a road and disconnected and made two different segments of road, then we will see how many property owners are on the fewest or the smallest section of that road. And so if there's 12 on one and 40 on another, then we'll contact all 12 of those property owners and ask them for a new street name for the road that they're living on.
All right, let me get this straight. If the Beltway cuts Jones Street in half, you're not going to have, kind of like there's a Westview Drive in Winston-Salem that's not connected. Are you going to allow it to be Jones Street on both sides of the Beltway, or are you saying they have to change this one or the other?
Right. We're no longer allowing disconnected street segments to be created. And so, yeah, we would rename the segment that has the least impact, but we would allow those property owners to come up with the new street name.
All right. Can folks get more information on this? Is fascinating stuff. Do you have a particular mapping website or what?
Yeah, MapForsyth.org is our website, and there's a number of resources on there if people want to look up their address just to verify that they're in Forsyth County, which sometimes that might be surprising to some people that they don't know that they're actually in Forsyth County.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure where I am right now.
And our contact information, of course, is on that website if they want.
That's great.
Needed help.
Matthew, you just do a great job, you in your office. I appreciate all the hard work and everything. And speaking of websites, you've noticed on this screen behind us, we've had up the whole time, connectwith.forsythcountync.gov. You can check that out too, and hope you will. Thanks for doing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for being with us on this edition of Forsyth County Connections, and we will see you next time.